Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's January 21st, 2018. I'm trying to catch up on some of the comments and questions. So this is an episode of Ask Me Anything. And so I'm up on the third floor of the house right now. That's why you can see part of the roof right here. And I've been gradually going through a couple of the questions that I've been asked before. And now I'm going to go through a couple of the comments as well, and brief questions. So I think it's Zon Tran, X-U-A-N-T-R-A-N. I apologize for my pronunciation of many names and words, some of the interesting names that are left on YouTube. But I'm just not very good at it. So bear with me and feel free to correct me as well. And I do appreciate the interaction, the comments and questions that are left. So Zon said, "Which state are you in, Kevin? I see you have a very big garden." And that's in response to a video that was Garden Update June 20th, 2017, a walkthrough. Yes, we have pretty big gardens, and we break them up into zones and all. But specifically, we live in New York State, not near New York City, pretty darn north of Syracuse, New York, near Lake Ontario, about 8 miles south of Lake Ontario, one of the Great Lakes in New York State. Not sure where you're from, Zon, but that's where we are. We live in a very cold, temperate climate. We have lots of overcast clouds during the late fall, winter months, and very early spring. So we're in an area that's pretty cold and that we get lots of snow. And thanks so much for the comment and the question. Darlene Wallace. Darlene is my sister-in-law. Hi, Kevin. Glad to see your video. I will let Dan know, that's my brother, so he can see it. So that was the video, Where Have We Been? So I made that one, geez, that was probably 2 months ago. This is terrible that there's such long periods. We get so busy here on the homestead, the farm, the sanctuary, basically an educational center that's still in development. It takes so long for us to, well, we're just so darn busy. Thea still works full-time and all. And so shout out to Dar and Dan, my brother. So this YouTube project that I started out several years ago, and that was in 2009 we started it, and it was just one of those ways to reach out and see, are there people who are like-minded? And since I'm pretty much a recluse, I never really leave the property, those family members that are interested, because I'm not someone that calls or goes on holiday or goes on vacations or spends holidays with friends and family, I'm pretty much a recluse. I guess we just say that. So hi to all the families and friends out there. If you're seeing this video, please share it with other friends and family, anybody be interested in the various topics that we talk about. And thanks, Dar, for responding back. I appreciate, and I hope you're staying comfortable down there, down south, and things are going well and everyone's healthy. Next comment I have is from Manuel Cavazos, I think it is. Greetings from Allenda, NL, Mexico. You have a beautiful place, and I think that was also with the same video. Well, thank you very much, Manuel. I appreciate your compliment. It's so nice to get responses and to feel like, geez, we're not just entertaining but potentially even giving people ideas about things to do. One of my goals is always to do as much as we can to encourage people to think about their own food sovereignty, their own ability to take control of your health and your well-being. So enough said with that. And the garden is really the place. For me, it's almost like our soul. Our garden is. It's a place where if you put good things in, really wonderful things can come out of the garden. And one of the things I say all the time is everything garden, and I mean that even with our thoughts, our beliefs, our actions, everything that we do. And I know on the physical level, you look around the property, you'll see various types of gardens, whether they're the food forest, and we have 2 food forests, but you'll see in nooks and crannies all over around ponds, there's gardens there. And some of the gardens will be gardens that we create that are just for the native species that are here. And when we even put in our gardens that are going to feed us, our kitchen gardens, we create farmscaping or habitats to bring in not just the beneficial insects that take care of our vegetable garden, but they're creating habitats for the toads, the salamanders, the snakes, the frogs, and so on. So everything garden, our thoughts, our minds, our body, constantly putting into each one of these systems that we think about, and consciously thinking about how important it is to take care of each one of these aspects. I won't go off anymore on my tangent there. Oh, Cam, how else? I hope that I'm pronouncing that right. Cam, how else? This was the hostaberry, currants, and gooseberry transplants, and I'll put a link up there to this video. What do you toss out to the side as you are uprooting the plants in the first minute or so of the video? Okay, I know exactly what you're talking about. What I'm pulling out there is quackgrass, which is like Bermuda grass. These are those plants, and I probably already just posted this video. I'm recording these on the same Sunday morning. I posted a video, I don't know what the topic was, but it'll be something like Bermuda grass, Ask Me Anything. And Lisa Miller had asked about she lives in Central Texas, and she asked for some input on what to do with Bermuda grass. Now this is right up against the workshop area, and there's a whole zone of garden beds that are there that Cam was asking about. And Cam, so right up against the building there, I have been gradually building up the soil. So that was all gravel. It's actually stone right up against the foundation with a drainage line that feeds to the, so it's, well, I'd say probably 3 foot deep of stone and really coarse gravel on top of a drainage pipe that would take the runoff of the water that would accumulate on the roof and go off the side of the roof over the overhang and fall in that area. And so when I built the place, even though I never knew I was going to be putting in a garden bed there, there's good drainage. It goes into a pipe and feeds into the pond system. Well, I decided on top of that gravel, since I had a couple of blocks high, about 16 inches before we get to the what's called T111, the siding, the wood siding that's there, I thought that's where I'm going to go ahead and do some of my hardwood cuttings, and that has worked out. So I take some of the currants, the hostaberries, what I do this season, I did mulberry trees, I did elderberry plants, I did other plants as well, as I can't remember the rest of them, and I do some of the cuttings during the fall off the foliage after the foliage has fallen off, and I take those hardwood cuttings with the buds pointing up and I put them in the soil. Now gradually over the last couple of years, as I gather up these various hardwood cuttings, once they've rooted, and I'm going to go plant them elsewhere, so these are free plants for me to create these extensive food forests and these companion planting permaculture-esque tree systems that I put around the property. The soil is so important in those areas so that it's really, it isn't soggy, so I use lots of compost, and that could retain too much moisture. So with mixing it with some sand or perlite, or the way that I've been doing it in these areas, I've been taking some of the wood chips. After the wood chips are about a year old, going through a system that I run the wood chips through. They start to break down. The fungi's had good surface contact. Really, the mycelium has worked into the wood chips. It becomes much more porous. Although it's not macroscopically, can't see it grossly with your eyes. There's lots of pores in it, which really lets a lot of moisture go into these areas, and that retains some moisture, and then along with the sand and the compost that's there, it drains. And as I mentioned, it's right above this gravel that goes into the drainage system. So it has just the right amount of moisture retention without me having to water it, and these hardwood cuttings do extremely well. Okay, I'm asked, well, what's this plant, these weeds that you're tossing to the side? Well, at that edge there, it's really the entrance to the barn. There's an overhead door there that you may not be able to see in that video, but the quack grass, the lateral rhizomes, those white roots that can withstand just about anything, they make their way up into that area, and they'll do these long finger-like projections. And since this soil is so good, once I uproot them every single season, I just pull those rhizomes out, and I can literally grab them, and some of them will be 3 or 4 feet long that they'll come right out, and no pieces are left there. The soil is so good that, and it's so easily manipulable, friable with your hands, that the rhizome stays intact as I'm pulling it up, and I'm trying to demonstrate that with my hand, obviously, that I can pull that out rather easily. And that's the benefit of building really good soil beds on top of whatever the area is. If you get these noxious weeds that are so that they create these very hardy rhizomes, they're much more easier to pull out because they aren't breaking up. When you're pulling rhizomes out and they break up, well, you just left part of the problem there, and maybe twice as much, because each side of the piece that you pulled out is going to shoot up a new plant to the surface, and they're going to send out, by the next season, new additional rhizomes. So I hope that answers your question pretty well, Cam. I appreciate your comment and question, and that was a good pickup in that video as well. I'm going to try one more here. No Fritari. Gosh, I'm terrible at pronouncing names. I'm sure I'm not doing a good job. And I actually responded to this. This was in response to the cooking and preserving one that we did, where we did, I think that was the pressure canning vegan chili. I'm not sure. And No Fritari asked, "Are you vegan?" And with a previous Ask Me Anything video, I'll put a link up there. And I did respond, and I don't like using the word vegan, and I'll just mention it here as well. And the reason I don't like using vegan is the impression that one gets when we use that word vegan is, well, there's a couple of immediate impressions. One is, back off a little bit, this guy's weird. And yes, I am weird. But the thing is that people will often say, well, they don't want this in their life. It's about exclusion. It's about eliminating. And indeed, I do want to eliminate animal suffering. I do want to decrease greenhouse gases. I want to build more soil. I want to decrease deforestation. So there's a whole bunch of reasons that I do want to exclude that from my life. But more importantly, being whole food plant-based, I think is more inviting, because you don't have to eliminate your cheese. You don't have to eliminate your animal products. I choose to eliminate them all, but whole food plant-based is trying to encourage more and more responsibility, taking on more responsibility, eating more nutrient-dense foods, and because to enhance your healing capacity. When we're real young, we think we're indestructible, we're invincible, and I was there. I ate everything in the world, and my health I paid for it with my health declining over time. And the more that I studied and learned along the way, I realized how important it is. And it's all about, like you see that little green icon, what is it, over here in the lower corner of the video, own it. And I really think we need to take responsibility for our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, and certainly, you know, our own health. I think, you know, it's real easy to say, oh geez, like my family members would always say, well, bad backs run in our family. And I've had spinal surgery twice, and there's, now that we know more about these things, well, there's nutrigenomics and epigenetics. And so our lifestyle, and that includes diet and exercise and sleep and a whole variety of things, meditation, spiritual development, prayer, whatever. All of these things in our lifestyle have such a profound on our on our genes, that the expression of them, whether we actually get heart disease, or we actually develop diabetes, or we develop autoimmune disorder, or we become obese, all of these things. And if you have questions about it, just go back in photos or watch old videos, old movies, and see what people look like, or look up at look at really the health stats over time. So again, it's starting to sound like I'm preaching here, and that's something I don't want to do. I want this to be a community. I want my role in this community to be one of integrating and accepting people with various different thoughts and perspectives. However, I'll stick to one thing. We need to own our own thoughts, our own feelings, our own beliefs, and how we take care of ourselves. You know, everything garden. We take good care of our body, there's better chance that we're going to have good quality life for a longer period of time. So longer period of time is our lifespan. Better quality of life is our health span, and we want to carry that on for as long as possible. So I think that covers all I can do today, so I hope this was somewhat helpful. I apologize for it taking me so darn long to get back with these video responses, and I'm not good at typing out responses, especially during the season. I'm pretty much dead tired at the end of the day, and my days are quite long. They start long before the sun comes up and starts long after the sun goes down. So thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please like and share with your friends. I hope to build the community, and let me know what kind of videos, which realm of videos that you see me putting up are you more interested in? What sort of things do you want to see covered more? As you can see, I've got quite a diverse set of interests. I have multiple niches, as people would say. Thanks so much for watching, folks. Have a fantastic day. Bye-bye now.